Welcome to another beautiful day of the LCS Challengers League. I am Mazel, joined by Magical and Joshi, yet again, the likely characters as we find ourselves together a lot. I know you guys are looking very dapper. Magical, are you ready to kick off day number 2 here of week 3?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Joshi?
I made a bad MMA joke last time. I'm not going to continue it specifically for your sake, Lennon, because I knew you hated every time I said jarts.
You know,
what does that mean?
It's like nails on chalkboard.
Martial jarts.
We're not going to get into that, all right, Magical? We're going to stay on the rails here, but it is going to be a fun day of action, a lot of fun across the board, and some movement in the standings, obviously. But I think the most interesting thing is that we are coming off a crazy day yesterday with a lot of very tight-knit games and some upsets in its own right. But I think the funnest part has been seeing what's been unfolding on the Challenger League Twitter. So I want to go ahead and bring up some of these tweets and see what we got going on, because the first one, first and foremost, deservedly so, I feel like, those two top bands in 1, 2, 3, and this is the result. You're going to need all 3 of them for Moose Hater.
3's not enough. 3's not enough. I'm just saying that right now.
I like the variety of little devils that he has, because that's definitely like all the champions.
Variety? You mean 2?
That's all the champions he plays?
No, it's just, it's kind of how it is. You play the Garen, it's like, oh, we're going to hard counterpick your Renekton with Alawi. We're going to just throw out all these weird things. How do you even play against them?
That's what I'm saying. He's got more than just 3. The Zac is up there, too. I'm waiting for that Darius to make its debut. Singed. He's got all these different wild picks that he can pull out of his sleeve.
We're still going to need to exercise them no matter what, so.
Well, we have Rafa getting in on it as well. Wildcard are no longer just the best provisional team. I think it is completely fair to say, though, through sheer determination, they have earned the respect as a top team in Challengers League.
Yeah, I can't disagree.
I can't help but looking at his face, it looks like a troll face, so it's hard to read the rest of it.
A troll face? You're going to do that to your roommate?
Poor Rafa.
100%.
Come on, Rafa. Get in here, bro. Get in here. Defend yourself. Come on, man.
Wildcard have been playing really well. And the fact that they took down Cloud9 2-0 yesterday is a huge comeback for them. We'll see if they can continue it.
It's been the decisiveness for me in those late game moments, really. Whooply, King Whooply of NACL. Started off with some absolute bangers. Panther LCS had a pentakill. That was a banger. It was off of a 5-man Counter-Strike as well. Challengers League had a huge comeback with a Draven Dragon Steal from Arrow and Ziggs turret rushing from APA. That was actually incredible.
There were 2 pentakills, by the way, yesterday. Like one on the Challengers League.
Wixie got one, yeah.
And one on the Path to LCS. So we Meech and Wixie
we had
both
the fun fact where Lynx is now matched with Wixie in the pentakills. But thanks, shout out to Whoopley there as well. And kind of throw in Yuka. My fave part, the team interview. Congrats on the long game win for Fly.
Let's go. I mean, it was all of them kind of coming together, and they were just chilling. I mean, I thought it was very funny when they all were just like, "Yeah, we're exhausted. We want to go sleep."
It is exhausting.
Blame them?
No, I've 100% been there. Afterwards, you finish a long series, you finish some long games, and you just go sit down and you just crash because you're like, I don't want to think about this game anymore for the rest of the year.
Like, I talked to Lens
for the rest
of
the year? Oh, man, it's early for that.
That's kind of crazy. But I also talked to Lens after yesterday, and pretty much same sentiment. The sentiment was given right there.
Yukino having some spicy words to say after their 2-0 yesterday. I can appreciate that one as well. But it's going to be a tough matchup, it feels like, for them.
That's going to be a matchup of the weekend, I'd probably argue. It's going to be a really good one, especially after Cloud9 showed that they are mortal. They can bleed, and they bled to Wildcard. What a series to talk about, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, if teams start taking more and more games off of Cloud9, it'll really upset a lot about what we had expected going into the season.
Yeah.
If we see them on, that one's over on Path to LCS, 100 Thieves Challengers take down Cloud9 Challengers in the same kind of dominating fashion, I don't really know what will be going on in this league anymore.
Yeah, it's a little bit sketch, maybe, if you will. CLG sketch got him. Super excited for tomorrow because I finally get to debut as a support versus FlyQuest Challengers. Started from the season start as the ADC because of the roster issues. Finally getting to do the tried and true role
Started
swap.
from the bot lane, now we here.
Wait, they're still in the
There you
bot
go.
lane.
Wait, but they're still
We're,
there.
now
It doesn't
Joshi.
work.
we're
It doesn't
no
work.
longer the
It doesn't
bot
work.
laner.
It does not work.
It works.
Okay, well, apparently it works or it doesn't. But we found out what didn't work, and it was Udyr mid.
It worked.
So we did also have a little bit of fun here getting ready for the week, and we got to hear what Insanity thought of some of our casters Udyr play. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Hey guys, I'm Insanity, and I played Udyr mid last week in the NACL, and I'm going to rate some casters' performances for when they're first timing it. Joshi starting. Don't like the runes if he's playing mid. I don't know about the cleanse. Not bad. I like the invade. I mean, he has Rengar and pretty strong bot lane level 1. Gotta use W more often though when he's trading like this. Does he kill him? I think Udyr wins these. Yep, of course Udyr wins these. If you get Elder on this champion, it's so messed up because Demonic actually keeps re-procking the Elder buff. So it'll just keep doing like infinite damage to them. Not a bad game. See what Rafa's cooking up. So for this, Phase Rush is like, this is like not a bad page. I think Conditioning and Overgrowth is better, but I do think this is a matchup where I think Udyr is really OP in. Well, where's the Udyr, man? Yeah, I mean, this whole team's asking that right now. I mean, he is 1-3, so he really is channeling my energy. This looks winning. Surely. Except, actually, he doesn't have Demonic, so he's actually kind of just useless. Not the worst gameplay I've ever seen. Like, it's not bad, especially if you're first timing the champion. The game goes this long, it's not the most fun time. Let me see his runes. Futures Market, oh my. I don't know about that, bro. No, W, yes. Yeah, good. Well, he knows how to live at least. Oh. I guess he's just a goat. This was good, actually. He used his E. So he doesn't get slowed or feared. Oh, he's just beating him down with the bear stance. I can respect this. This guy's just sending a message. Oh, it just ends? Just ends like that? Okay, magical. Let's see. Divine Sunderer. He's 1-6. He's 1-6. I respect this. He's soaking so much pressure right now. Now he can just E out. Oh. Run. He's out. He's out. Press W. Oh, so close actually. He's 2-11, but he's carrying. No offense to his team, but it's all Udyr's. All because of Udyr. He won him the game. He kept the mental strong with the positive energy. I mean, honestly, the champ's not as easy as it seems. Like, it seems kind of like super straightforward. Like, oh, I'm just gonna run at this guy. But I don't know. You don't really know his damage. You just need to test his limits and figure out what he's actually strong at and what skirmishes he's good at. Oh, that's pretty entertaining though.
I'm broken. The sound effect from him doing the Udyr. I'm just gonna run at people. That was incredible. But incredible gameplay from our casters, judged by the Udyr himself, Insanity, Magical. Joshi, do you have anything to say for yourselves?
Well, I got
the
two
mental.
things. One, I got a kill and an assist at level 1, which helped out a lot. But I was also present in Rafa's Udyr game.
True.
I did everything in my power to carry that game. I was so strong, but Mark was running around with half of Yasuo's CS. I couldn't do it.
And no demonic embrace.
Hey, I didn't have demonic
Embrace
embrace. I didn't go demonic embrace.
Oh my goodness, what a time! And Magical,
Yeah.
you just vibing on the Udyr. Did we come away saying that Udyr mid is good, or?
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, I entered lane phase and then I opened the ports. You know, it all worked out.
And shout out, who was your jungler that game?
Who was it?
Would it happen to be our star observer, Mermage?
Could it possibly be the Mermaid Monarchy?
Might have been 12-1 on Fiddlestick.
No big deal. Well, we're gonna go past some Magical, save some face. We have our super heavyweight SmackDown ready for your eyes. So go ahead and take a look.
10 players. One match. Super Heavyweight SmackDown! Finally on SmackDown, the whole family can enjoy. Bring your mama, bring your auntie, even great grandma Bertha, because this week's event is a brawl for all. Teaming up in the red corner, an org with the legacy of developing talent, and this roster doesn't lack for that. 3 players with LCS experience forming its core. A jungler who knows no fear, living up to the expectations set by those who came before. And a Korean mid laner with 20 solo kills in 8 games, whose ceiling is nowhere in sight. Pro teams should quake as semi-pros crumble. Cloud9 Challengers! And in the blue corner, following the precedence of their LCS team, combining rookie talents with experience, their top side is the 2 youngest players in the league. But don't you dare underestimate them, or they'll send you to the retirement home. Enabling them from the rest of the map, 2 Oceanic players with a good-looking future, and an LEC first team All-Pro ADC. This team isn't just competing for the title, they're competing for the future of the region. 100 Thieves Challengers! Bring your family, bring your dog, bring your whole damn house. This weekend everyone is invited to brawl at the Super Heavyweight SmackDown!
Incredible as always.
My favorite part is how much of today's pre-show was Eric talking about how Steve is bald. And he comes out and goes,
Yep. Using it as best as possible. No, but it's going to be such a banger of a match. I think obviously Cloud9 having a lot to prove off of yesterday, but as a whole, I think it's still going to have so many highlight matchups. But let's go ahead and look at what happened yesterday, because we did blow up the standings a little bit. Fear, number 1 in the league here, going into day 2 of week number 3. But Joshi, any standouts besides that one?
besides Fear, honestly, I gotta say Evil Geniuses not going to our expectations, especially now that Ryoma is back. They got clapped yesterday by another provisional team.
But it's also Ryoma jumping in, you know, trying to get with the team that he hadn't really got practice with, you know. You gotta,
9 kills.
Okay, Ryoma, it's still good. I'm not saying he's not good. It's synergy. It's that kind of thing. And also, they still don't have King, who's meant to be their marksman, more visa issues and stuff like that. So you got to take a lot of these with grains of salt when it comes to Evil Geniuses Challengers. However, I don't want to take away from Fear, because they also played really well, making sure they can pick up those victories. And it being a 2-0 as well is very impressive. And I think you got to start eating your words, Josh, that Fear are a team that we need to start looking at more as a provisional team that has got to get more hype.
Well, I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying they're not number one for the entire season.
Bro.
All right. We'll get that conversation going somewhere, some other place. But let's go ahead and look at the match schedule ahead of us here today. We got FlyFam versus Dignitas Challengers, CLG Faith versus FlyQuest Challengers, CLG Challengers versus Wildcard. I know we're all looking forward to that last game, but I think as a whole, we have a lot of fun games ahead of us, a lot of moments to prove themselves for these provisional teams.
Can I just say, before we skip forward to our matchup next, is that while the C9 Challengers, 100 Thieves Challengers match has got to be the heavyweight showdown of the weekend, that CLG Challengers Wildcard one is probably a close second after Wildcard got that 2-0. Had they not gotten the 2-0 against Cloud9 yesterday, I'd probably be it's clearly C9 versus 100. Now I'm I don't know. Well, I'm really hyped about that CLG Wildcard matchup.
Yeah, we were definitely seeing a lot of strength coming out of both rosters. I am very entertained that we have 2 FlyQuest games, or 2 FlyQuest matches, and 2 CLG matches on the same stream today, and hopefully
it will make it really easy for me with drawing.
Great.
There you go. It's perfect. But we are going to go ahead and move forward into our first match of the day, as we do have FlyFam taking on Dignitas Challengers. Let's go ahead and take a look at the FlyFam roster, because Lunacia in the top lane, a little bit of a new face. I think you can say that for a lot of these FlyFam squads. But the biggest new face is Maniac in the jungle, who will be taking the place of Goo, Joshi.
Yeah, we have to remember that Goo did choose to step down. FlyQuest did put out a statement earlier today, I believe it was, where they were saying that Maniac would be stepping in. And it is important to note that with all subs coming in, we shouldn't necessarily be putting too much pressure on them. To quote somebody that has worked with them in the past, they're probably going to get clapped, but great homie. And I think that's going to be one of the big things that we're going to be focusing on. How much can Maniac improve the morale of this team now that they're coming in?
I think that's also, it's nice having, a new face. And again, I will always preface this when I look at these provisional teams, don't look at their win record and write them off. These are bad players. Look at how they're able to play in the given circumstances, how they're able to grow. And with Maniac, a player who's played in some of the open qualifiers last year, even back in 2021, subbing for a couple of teams, playing B, C tiers of amateurs, now semi-pros. This is a player that we want to see how they can adapt to a brand new environment, especially against probably one of the best challenger teams we have here in the league.
Yeah, and that's what I want to bring up next, because it will be a tough test, but hey, better to prove your mettle against, right? It will be Dignitas Challengers taking to the Rift across from them with some breakneck performances, it felt like, at the end of last week, and as a Hoon finding the Hoon in time possibilities, but XU also having very strong performances. Insanity in the mid lane. Maybe not as much as what we were seeing in Proving Grounds at the end of last year, but I think this team definitely, as you had kind of foreshadowed to, has what it takes to be one of the top teams, Magical.
So, yes or no on the Udyr mid here in this game? Anybody? Anyone want to take a bet on that one?
Unlikely.
I'm going to go with no.
I'm gonna just disagree with you both. I'm going to go with yes, because why not?
Right.
But, looking at this team, I think that this is why we look at this team as being really strong. They have a bot lane, Tomo, Diamond, that have been playing together since back when they were on Cloud9 Amateur, then going to Fly Amateur Academy, then to FlyQuest Academy. So they've got quite a number of years, and this is really seemed like a return to form. When we saw them both win the Academy League back years ago. This is what we've been expecting to see. Insanity has been playing out of his mind. We got to see that last split. We're seeing it this split. Hoon on Fiora is absolutely insane. XU too. There's a jungler that we've always hyped up a lot. And I think this is a team, they've got really good synergy. And seeing pictures like this, it's wholesome.
It ain't it's not the poses from last year, maybe they'll get to that level, but you gotta love to see the wholesome.
This is more wholesome, yeah.
Everybody
I love to see it.
Diamond is putting up a #1, so I wonder if Diamond's sabotaging them in the back with the #2 coming out.
Hey, I think that's an important factor. Well, we'll have to ask him if we get a chance to break it down. But I do want to also break down this top lane matchup, Lunacia versus Hoon, an important piece to what we'll see today, Magical.
And, Lunacia, being an unknown factor going into the split, has definitely performed a lot better than I would have ever expected a player like this, that we just had no real research on. We've asked a couple questions here and there. I'd love to actually get their voice heard on the broadcast one day, because they're going up against someone like Hoon, who last year wasn't very remarkable, right? We weren't
pretty terrible.
We weren't really singing any praises of Hoon, but this year, God, especially on Fiora, Hoon has been an absolute terror. So if Lunacia wants to continue this conversation as the unknown, the Stranger X that comes out of nowhere, the defy all odds, they've got to somehow beat Hoon in his prime.
Yeah. And I think it's important to recognize that both these players, when they came in, our expectations were on the floor for both of them, right? Every player that's come in from a tryout has really struggled to play in this league. And Hoon from last year, I said it, he looked pretty bad last year. And so the exciting thing is they don't suck. They're both actually good. They're both actually players that can compete in this league. And I'm really excited for both of these guys as they continue to build themselves up. These are two of the players that aren't already in our most valuable prospect list, but if you give them more time, if you give them time to develop, they could make their way there.
Yeah, also shout out to the Joshi GFX Productions company. Also to Lunacia, who edited his own photo.
Oh, is that where that came from?
And Nick Fan agreed to let us use this, so this is a wonderful piece of art. But I think this is the big spotlight going into this one. And obviously, what we'll get with Maniac's first matches is important, but the top lane matchup will lead a lot to what happens in the jungle, what happens between XU and Maniac. And I just want to kind of get your guys' big focus for Maniac. What do you want to see in terms of... Do you just want to see comfort picks come through? Do you just want to see a little bit of setup around Maniac, or play towards the jungle?
Comfort.
Joshi.
I'm going to interrupt and just say comfort. Now you can have it, Josh. Yeah, because that's all I think.
I think the biggest thing right now is we've seen the most successful substitutes have always had their job made as easy as possible. So while comfort I think is good for Maniac, the big thing is I actually want to see them draft strong lanes so that their jungler doesn't just get buried by the fact that they have no prio.
Well, I guess we'll find out. We're ready to get into game number 1. So, guys, take it away.
So, thank you, Mizel, but also, Josh, I think you just said what I said, but in more words.
That is my job, actually.
Is that actually defined in your contract, that you just say what I say, but with more words?
Yeah, specifically. Emily did want me to exactly repeat what you said as a play-by-play and then say it in a more...
But just me, or like...
Just you.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure.
how this works.
Gotcha.
Kind of looking about it, I kind of do want to set the stage. To use the same quote, they're probably gonna get clapped today. FlyFam has been struggling, and this is a huge redemption season coming out from Dignitas, right? We already touched on Hoon, who did not have a particularly exciting spring, but Tomo is another player that's having a huge redemption, right? Last summer, we were pretty critical of how they were playing. It did not feel like the Tomo and Diamond combination that we were so used to, but now they're putting on a team. They are 8-2, one of our top teams already in the Challengers League.
Exactly, and that's why, I wanted to focus on that. They've just been performing so well. And then you look at Instinct Sword, two players that, we have high expectations for. We've seen them before in the qualifiers, improving grounds, even Instinct getting a little bit of a stint in the LCS, where I think he played actually fairly well for someone who had to sub in last minute on a team that was struggling. But here, against a team like Dig Challengers, it is going to be very difficult. You have very, very rookie top lane where you're looking at Lunacia, Maniac, both of them, how they're going to synergize in their first game that they get to play on stage. And as we get into the draft, we see that there isn't that comfort taken just yet, but there are a lot of powerful meta picks that have been left open. That Sejuani that was hovered. We already had the Ashe locked in. Maokai left open. Lucian. I'm even looking at possibly like a Kassadin getting locked in pretty early.
Yeah, it is worth noting we are playing on the beat patch, so 80 carries are much stronger now than they were even just last week, and so we'll see a lot more pressure coming out from Tomo, and I feel like Tomo is definitely better positioned than Instinct to make use of that, just because Tomo has had a longer time to kind of develop their playstyle, whereas Instinct is a player on the other side who is very good at playing safe, making sure that they keep themselves alive throughout long fights, whereas Tomo more willing to be aggressive on the 2-item spike.
Yeah, there we have it. We have Maniac not on the comfort. It is going to be the Maokai. This is something talking with Myra, who had been a coach for them, had worked with them on a wildcard developmental. I'm surprised to see that they didn't want to opt for something a little bit more into the wheelhouse that we've seen Maniac, such as the Kane, the Evelyn, even Viego, something that has kind of been a niche pick. It would be difficult up against Sejuani, so I do understand wanting to go for the Maokai, and Maokai is something that is just really strong at the moment, even with some of the nerfs that he had on B. It really didn't do anything to deter just the power the tree has.
Yeah, and I think it's also interesting, right? Maniac was also known for a lot of AP junglers as well. Diana was one of their most played in the previous season. Partly because it was strong, but also just because they are good at a lot of these magic damage dealing, burst damage from the jungle. So this is a very different look coming out from Maniac than we might have been initially expecting. And going up against Exu, I think is going to be a bit of a tough task, just because this Sejuani can actually duel basically all of the other tanks, and Dignitas are already giving themselves an opportunity to have kill pressure in at least the bottom lane.
As we get into the second part of the bans, top lane focus for Dig, really hitting at Lunacia. I'm surprised they banned the Fiora themselves and didn't want to just blind that against Lunacia. It could be the respect, and then Hoon go for Camille blind. All right, not the Fiora, but Camille. I guess that's what they're just really laying down the gauntlet against this rookie top laner.
I mean, that was something that Hoon did have some of their better performances on in the previous year, and not super surprised to see this Malphite hovered coming out. Lunacia has kind of made a name for themselves as a bit of more of a carry top laner, but it's definitely a spot where you're kind of creating a front-to-back style composition already, and instead we're going to be going back over to the Cassante and going right back over towards those carries. This is definitely an opportunity for Lunacia to kind of blow open the game, because this matchup is pretty decent coming out for the Cassante, but if you let the Camille scale unimpeded, Hoon is absolutely going to take over this game.
Which to me indicates I want to see how Maniac will play around this top lane to make sure Hoon doesn't get into that position, especially with Blaze on it. There's the comfort. Hey, I was wondering where the comfort was going to come from, and it's going to be the blind Akali. And Insanity, the world's his oyster. He loves playing this LeBlanc into Akali's, and it is one of his most characteristic champions that he's played in his entire career. They're going up against Blaze. This is pretty much a tour de force. But I do like the hover.
This is real. This is a real hover.
It is. It is going to be the Udyr. I was right. You're all wrong. Haha, nerds, get wrecked.
Yeah, I never got to finish the point. I said unlikely unless Blaze plays something melee, and this is the perfect
You never
situation
said
to
it,
actually
so I
play.
can't
I never
believe
said it.
Yeah.
I never said it out loud. I'll give you that one, Alex. But this is going to be a very tough game for the Fly fam to actually navigate. The one thing that they kind of have going in their favor is the fact that there is basically no magic damage coming out from the side of the Dignitas Challengers. So Maniac, if they do choose to build some more resistances and can build up that armor, it is way more difficult for Dignitas to actually punch through this front line. That said, the way that we've been seeing Maokai built, Demonic Embrace, Radiant Virtue, it doesn't matter because you basically have no resistances at all, and FlyQuest are really going to kind of struggle unless they can get a lead, particularly in the bottom lane.
And that's where we have to look. When you have the double range bot lane in Varus Ashe, how much poke they can provide, they have to get that level 2 experience lead over Tomo Diamond. Otherwise, it's a Lucian Nami lane, and we know how powerful that can be. So as we load up onto the Rift for our first game between Fly Fam and Dignitas Challengers, the Fly Fam looking for a little bit of shenaniganeries in the bot lane, and I approve.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to be starting in the lane as this double Archer bottom lane, Instinct and Sword.
Oh, so nope, Diamond spotted him out. He's like, nope, never mind, I'm out of here.
All right, we're done. And I wonder how much Dignitas will press forward on the other side of the map in order to take a little bit more space, get some vision down, and immediately they have everyone full court press, get some good vision, and they don't actually start this, do they? No, they're going to be...
No. They got a nice ward placed down by Insanity. It's on Raptors. I'm betting before XU. Yep, they're just going to put down that ward, switch out to the red to maximize the timer. Complete control of Maniac is pretty much a welcome to the LCS Challengers League. You're not going to really be able to do much in the early game.
Yeah. Was that a sapling that I just saw?
Oh, no. He used Bramble Smash. That was the first level up.
All right. That does make a little bit more sense, but this is a tough start. Look at where Insanity is already positioning on the map. If they get the sense that Instinct and Sword aren't here, and they know that Maniac isn't up on the top side, Insanity can actually bully them around, but he's already backed away. Not going to be giving up the lane pressure that he would normally have with all the extra wave clear.
Which makes sense. You don't want to give that up to Blaze. You want to keep that up, and bot lane going as expected at the initial onset. With a lot of damage put down on Tomo. Should be healed up pretty effectively by Diamond. I don't really... I mean, Josh, I'm trying to think what could happen early game. The only thing I could have possibly thought is maybe Maniac looking for a play, but with how much ward control Dignitas Challengers have gotten, I'm not expecting to see anything for quite some time.
Oh, and he's trying to be sneaky with his jungle path a little bit, but does get spotted out. They do know that he moves down towards the Krugs next, so Tomo and Diamond will have a lot of space, but Insanity... Look at that, with just using the Phoenix stance, has so much control over the lane, can start to move down, and it feels like Maniac will be really tested to try and make anything early happen, just because Tomo and Diamond are underneath their turret. He's been on vision the entire time, and this might be a lot of wasted time.
Agreed. And looking at everyone, seeing that Maniac is in the bot lane, maybe even looking to see if he can spot out where XU is, but there was a nice ward placed down, so he'll be in a bit of a bother. But with no ability for the bot lane to roam up, Maniac's just going to see that Sejuani's there and say, all right, you know what, fine. You can have yours.
Yep. And there it is. The Scryer's Bloom coming out from Insanity does know where they are, but this is a pretty good job coming out from Instinct and Sword. Definitely putting the hurt on Tomo and Diamond early, as they are supposed to be doing.
Right.
But ultimately, like, the small lead, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough, because a lot of FlyFam's issues haven't necessarily been during the laning phase. It's oftentimes come later, where teams that are more experienced
look at
can build
XU.
better plans.
Look at XU. It was a nice sapling, though, placed down earlier by Maniac that denied that gank, but XU had the angle to look for Instinct Sword. This will force a recall with the wave kind of frozen by the turret. To allow a little bit of the ebb and flow of the bot lane back towards Dignitas Challengers' favor.
So, we do see Maniac up on the top side. Blaze taking a little bit of extra damage from the Phoenix stance, but ultimately, these lanes are going kind of as expected based on the champions, which is a big shout out to Instinct and Sword, but XU finds his way in.
Grad once, failed, but saplings don't last forever.
Spotted.
Oh no, the hawk shot went wide, but...
This is still a tough dive.
It's a very tough dive, and that's why I don't think that XU's going to look for it. He's backing off. The minions froze just outside of turret aggro, too. Probably a good idea with how low Tomo's getting chunked out every single time he tries to step up to clear his own minions.
Anyway, as we kind of wait for the junglers to make a new appearance, I think the big thing that I still kind of want to look at, right, is, as we touched on, FlyQuest fam have not necessarily been struggling too much in laning phase. So much of their problems has been coming out against teams that make better. Oh no! There it is!
Oh, hey, there's that lane phase you just talked about. Supportal combat. Diamond cannot fight back. The flash in, and it's the Fly fam bot lane with 2 kills to their name.
That's what we were saying. They don't necessarily struggle in the laning phase. Instinct and Sword are fighting these 2v2s against teams that they are not supposed to be. Taking down both Tomo and Diamond, giving a kill over to Instinct and Sword is really going to help. We said they need to get a lead in the bottom lane, Alex, and this is the perfect way to start it off.
And it's funny, we were hyping up Tomo Diamond, right, with how they've been playing, but Instinct and Sword, there's a reason why I also wanted to touch on their histories, their past, and how these, especially Instinct, being a player who played in the LCS last split for TSM, and actually had a fairly decent showing.
Yeah. And as we take a look at this, it's mostly just the fact that Tomo thinks he can go back in for the damage, but just doesn't have it available. First strike isn't there, and Diamond just doesn't have the minions to actually kill Sword on his own, so it costs them flashes, but 2 kills and a great wave state more than makes up for it.
Exactly. Trade of 3 sums for 3 sums with 2 kills for the bot lane. Instinct and Sword getting a kill apiece so they can come back into the lane with Tear of the Goddess built by Instinct already having serrated Derek.
Maniac.
Maniac's going to be spotted out unless they can clear this minion quickly enough. Yeah, if they were paying attention, they should have seen that little jungle pet.
Yeah, that's so hard to see, and now they know where XU is. This is a 3v3 in the making.
It is. Just waiting for that last minion to clear. There it is. Fog should allow Maniac to walk up. Instinct and Sword playing with fire. They know that XU's here. The flash in. There's a flashless Instinct. He dies immediately with too much damage on the other side.
Yeah. Interesting thing there. I think Maniac does choose the wrong target. Like, I think you do have kill pressure onto Tomo if you go there, but great play coming out from Dignitas. XU knows he's on vision, and he goes for it anyway because Instinct doesn't have any defensive summoner spells. You can just kill him outright.
Mm-hmm. That's the problem with having a mobile marksman in the bot lane. Get a lot of poke, but what you have in poke, you lack in survivability and your dashes to get out of dodge like that, which gives over the dragon to Dignitas Challengers as well.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, we are still seeing an even game state from the FLYF fam, which is something that we have kind of come to expect from them, unless there's insane, crazy solo laners like MNS able to find all of these kills. But this is where the game starts to get a little bit tougher for them, right? We were talking about how teams that make good plans are really tough for FlyFam to play into. And of all the teams and challengers, I'm pretty confident in saying that I think Dignitas Challengers might be the best team at making plans. When you look at who's actually on this roster, they've been saying that Diamond was one of the backbone shot callers for FlyQuest Academy last year. Now he gets to team up with Insanity, who was one of the major shot callers for Dignitas Academy last year.
In fact, if I recall, there's an interview, I can't remember if it was with Diamond or Insanity, where they talked about the other and said how helpful it is to have someone else to bounce the voices off and the bounce the communication, say, okay, should we look for this play? Let's have this play. One of them could be leading the charge on one part of the map, the other can be leading the charge on the bottom half.
Yeah, and something that a lot of players who haven't really played fives before don't realize is you generally have, mixed duties between who's actually talking, right? In teams that I've played on with Rafa in the past, I've typically been like our strategic shot caller. I will set high-level plans, and then somebody else needs to kind of be the tactical shot caller and be like, okay, we want to take control of this quadrant, so you go here, place this ward, and we want to take over like this. And having 2 shot callers that can do both sides of that is incredibly powerful. Now Maniac coming down bottom lane.
Spotted out by the ward. Just going to throw down Nature's Grasp. It will get a lockdown onto 2 members. But, it's more just sending a message saying, all right, you don't own this bottom half of the map. This is ours. Unfortunately, by looking for that, XU had all ample opportunity to look for the top lane play. Got the Rift Herald, the second neutral objective picked up by Dignitas Challengers. Even was threatening look for a play onto Lunacia as Blaze is threatening a play onto Insanity. Can he get it? Oh, it was so close.
The healing coming out from Udyr, keeping them alive. So many shields, so much AoE damage. Blaze not able to take them down, but hey, starting to look for things up against somebody on one of these signature picks that we were also saying was one of the best mid laners that we saw coming into Proving Ground Summer 2022. Blaze has had a bit of a rocky start, but this is a fantastic opportunity to prove that they belong to play in this league.
Well, and this is Blaze's signature champion, right? Playing Akali.
He's full HP again.
I mean, it's gotta feel bad. Blaze is like, I did all this work. I got you so low. You haven't even recalled. How could this possibly be happening?
Yeah. Oh, the shield just coming through as well. Blaze does need to be careful, having used up so much energy, and with XU around, there is a potential danger play.
Yeah, looking for it. Blaze was able to use Shark and flip away. Then very passively. And that W went, what is it? Storm, I forget the new name for it. Not connected. Probably could have looked for a play with XU and Insanity mid lane, but Blaze taking a lot of damage from that R. Was just like, yeah, I'm going to stick out underneath the turret.
Ooh. Oh, the timing from Sword, not spotting anybody out.
And getting the Glacial Prison. The flash away, though, from Blaze. They've landed the Enchanted Crystal Arrow to deny any dive. Blaze, nicely done getting out of dodge.
Yeah, Insanity thought that they were setting up for the second stun, not necessarily needing to do it the first time, but doesn't land it. Blaze finds the window to get themselves out, and so both mid laners barely escaping with their lives from some of these upcoming plays.
Hey, gotta leave it up to both of them. Understanding the limitations of their champions, barely getting out of dodge, even able to gain control of their lane states back, as Instinct unfortunately went just a little bit wide with the Chain of Corruptions. But he has that level of lead, and that's a massive minion wave crashing down to the slot lane. And Maniac saying, hey, you know what? I got ult back up. You can poke them out pretty low. We could look for the dive even if they can spot me, but Insanity on the rotation as well will scare him away. Nice Bramble Vast to get rid of Insanity. Will deny the dive, though.
Yeah. So, I mean, Dignitas, they're kind of hanging on, but we are still seeing the win condition built up by FlyQuest. We look up in the top lane, both top laners are doing okay.
Wow, Enchanted Crystal Arrow on a Diamond, and even the Piercing Arrow, not enough. Good uses of flashes and heals to get out there, but Lunosity by himself gets the solo on Hoon.
And there we go. We said that these guys deserve to play in the league. Here's the wave.
Wave gets Instinct. Instinct has heal. He has flash this time around. Nature's Crash on the back line. Looking for the kill underneath the turret to get that under. And look for Tomo as well. To Portal Combat. Sword one more. Couldn't get Tomo. Tragedy.
XU with a fat boar standing on top of Tomo, making it so hard to click him. I love the awareness coming out from the Dignitas bottom lane, but Maniac does pick up a kill on the other side of that fight. And on the other side of the map, Lunasia taking down Hoon as well. This is a fantastic performance already coming out from FlyFam.
And this goes back to the conversation you were talking about, Josh, where FlyFam, their lane phase is what we always are praising. They look good. They're able to find fights, find plays that really, you look at a professional team, most of them struggle to find. But here, they can look for this power, understanding their champions, looking for the kills, but the flash away again. Somehow Insanity keeps surviving.
Diamond coming through this time. Man, that stun feels like it's forever from that distance, but Dignitas ready to help him out every time Blaze is looking for one of these big plays. Now they're trying to crash.
Glacial Prison with the bubble. Not going to get enough damage. The crash denied by FlyFam. Even the Chain of Corruption's on the Diamond. He's just dead. There's no way out of this one.
That's great. I mean, FlyFam are already with the double archers. They have so much pick potential.
Oh my god.
Under turret.
Lunasia, stop! Leave him alone.
No hook shot.
He's just doing this all on his lonesome. Lunasia, it's a good play in top lane, and he is biding his time against Hoon. Didn't even want to get the kill for some reason.
What?
I don't know. He had all ample opportunity, and now Blaze looks like he's in danger underneath the Twilight Shroud. They can spot him out, and here's the Nature's Craft on the other side. Going to get the kill as Maniac not in time to pick up Insanity and turning it around for a double kill.
What is going on, Alex? There's fighting everywhere on the map all the time, and half of it makes sense, half of it doesn't. This is absolutely wild to see coming through. FlyQuest coming through yet again. This is true of both the FlyQuest fam and the Challengers. They have the hands to actually play against some of our stronger teams, but we are still waiting for Dignitas to start making some of these plays proactively. XU's done a fantastic job at actually moving around. 100% KP, already has the Radiant Virtue completed. But it just feels as though the lanes are kind of crumbling, right? Hoon's been almost solo killed again. Tomo and Diamond pushed back. FlyFam, if they start creating pressure on these upcoming dragons and start stacking up all these infernals, they can really take control because they have range to play with between the two archers that Dignitas cannot match.
And this is where we got to talk about the growth of a team. Looking at FlyFam and how they can transition these lane phases into the mid-game team fights, where they have tended to struggle in the past. Obviously, you know, going up against a team like Dignitas Challengers, it's even more difficult to find these perfect positions to make sure you can actually fight against a team that has such great coordination and planning like them. But if FlyFam find these fights, just one or two of them, that is a great step up from what we've been seeing thus far in the season.
And as they start moving together, Dignitas is going to try and take this down. The Demolish proc should be there.
Interruptions, gonna get the arrow onto Insanity, but that's gonna be a tidal wave. Hitting on a Maniac. He's not tanky at all because he's gone for the Demonic. So they had to back out of that one, forfeiting the tower.
We can see how effective this Udyr can be as well, taking so much damage. A Blaze will be able to respond in the mid lane, or the bottom lane. So as this side of the map opens up, the middle
gets it, yeah,
opening up for Dignitas Challengers. And that's when you become really dangerous with the Sejuani as you start fishing for these ultimates. They're already going to be starting up the Rift Herald, but people are coming to respond. But crucially, Maniac is not here, not going to be able to try and go for a Smite Steal.
He got chunked out too heavily, so he had to go back. Like I said, only having Demonic, he's not going to be tanky yet, right? He's got to get that Radiant Virtue, got to work up a couple more of these items before he can feel fairly sufficient in the fights.
Dang. Lunacia so consistently using this Unstoppable. That's the third time that I've seen them block up Hoon's stun, and it makes it so difficult for Hoon to get the big damage coming through whenever they actually go for these trades. Lunacia's been doing a good job. We were just praising how much better Hoon had been playing in spring 2023 than they had in summer 22. So far, Lunacia's been able to hang with them and actually find a solo kill. Probably should have gotten a second one.
Yeah, probably, but you know what? Still in control of this top lane. Hoon is struggling a bit, especially when we look at the inventories. That Bramble Vest is going to make it even more difficult for Hoon to have these long extended trades against Lunacia.
We'll see how this continues to shake out, because there's still a lot of game left to be played, but Maniac now trying to take a little bit more control of their own side of the jungle, and XU trying to wrest it back.
Looking for Maniac, and that damage layered up. Even if you have the heal, the tree is cut down at its prime.
And we said they weren't tanky, right? That's a perfect example of that. Throw down 3 ultimates, pick up Maniac, and now you don't have to deal with saplings in the upcoming fight in order to try and take this dragon.
Though it's still a minute and 20 seconds left until it spawns, Maniac will be up in just 10. Gives them a little bit of time to try to wrestle back some control, but the problem being Insanity. Well, the chickens, but I'm looking at Insanity. He's got his Demonic. He's on an island, essentially. He's not even looking for extended trades anymore. He's purely looking to be a menace that gains control of these side lanes and forces Blaze to constantly have to answer.
Look at the friends.
And this is the problem. Blaze has to answer. Everyone shows up looking for Blaze. That's the Rift Herald pop. There is no Glacial Prison, but a nice Arctic Assault was able to get the knockup. Here's going to be the arrow connecting onto Insanity. Forced to use Perfect Execution just to get away while the crash comes in from Shelly.
Yeah, that's 2 turrets getting picked up by Dignitas. They also grab the jungler, and this is some of the planning coming through that we always praise Dignitas for. Insanity does need to be a little bit careful, but, I mean, just not going to be taking a not going to have to be that careful as they continue to bully things around. They are going to be recalling a little bit late, but because FlyQuest have already lost so much of their HP as well, they're not going to be able to take advantage of the situation. Look at the fact that Maniac is not setting up saplings. They're moving towards the other side of the map already.
This is the thing about looking at how these two teams are, right? Looking at the challengers versus the professionals, how they set up the map, how they rotate around, and the power you have when you have this communication. Dignitas Challengers, you praised them before with how good they are at constantly having these communications, what they need to set up, how they need to play. So the lane phase, it might have been even, but they're first ones on the map every time. And now Blaze, who is trying to clear out the minion waves, is in so much danger. There's no escape this time around. There's no perfect execution, so they can give the execution killing spree to Insanity.
It's so crazy just how much control you have just to kind of see where people are, using the Gale Force for it as well. And now here's another 1v1, except it's a cheating 1v1.
I was like, this ain't no 1v1. Hoon's like, hey, wait a minute. I thought this was a friendly bout.
It's not at all. FlyQuest not looking to be friends with this fam, and they're going to be taking a top lane turret in exchange for the dragon. Lunacia doing a good job setting things up, and I love the instant response from the fam. As they see their bottom lane get taken down, they are going to immediately shift all their power up towards the top and at least trade a little bit back.
Exactly. It's pretty much the silver prize, right? You're getting as much as you can back, knowing the bot lane was doomed. You're not getting the dragon. You're not defending that turret against Insanity. You have to let them have that, so at least you get something back on the map. more than just a participation ribbon.
Yeah. So we are seeing that with only 1 kill difference, Dignitas Challengers start to feel like they are much more firmly in the lead. And 2 of the players that we really needed to see be strong are already there. XU, 100% kill participation already, has the Radiant Virtue. And Insanity also, on the second item, has the Jack Show ready to go. So incredibly difficult for them to kill.
Oh, and now Insanity having to flash away from the calling of Tomo. Tomo, you know, the lane phase might have been a bit difficult, but since then, been cruising through this game. He's got Gale Force. Look at the hodgepodge build at the moment, waiting to complete a couple different items here and there.
Yeah. One of the things about Tomo that we'll be continuing to track this year is in 2022, they would oftentimes find themselves too far forward and have to use their Fat Flash defensively early on in the fight. But this is a very different look. Dignitas Challengers are just starting up the Baron.
Nice spot out, though, by Hawkshot. Sword will deny Dignitas Challengers from sneaking that away or even forcing a fight around it, but they just have to bide their time. Sword spotting out, dodging away from the Glacial Prison. I don't know if it would have connected, but I respect the flash regardless.
Yeah, you have to go for it. You don't have time to see, I don't think this one's going to hit me, because if you're wrong, you're dead, right?
Yes,
It's definitely a spot where FlyQuest do have to give up some ground, but now Insanity choosing to spend time up in the top side of the map. They've already taken 2 turrets in the bottom half. That gives Hoon a long lane in which to farm and continue to scale into the game. Insanity wants to create a lot more pressure.
And I think this is probably the best matchup for FlyFam. To have Lunacia against Insanity. Because when you look at the gold difference, that's a 2,000 gold difference between Blaze and Insanity. Well, it's only about 500 between Blaze and Hoon. Makes it a little bit easier for this matchup to go your way without having to worry about Blaze not getting anything as they look for this pick onto XU, but he's the tank, and you're not Tanky Maniac. You get killed off by Sejuani while Blaze tries to get the execution in the backline, but the heal and the cleanse to get away as Blaze is now in danger. There is no escape. There's no hope or salvation. It's a rampage for Udyr.
Insanity just coming through. You always know where the Kali is with their Raging Storm, and now Dignitas, they should feel strong enough to actually start up this Baron. They're going to be taking it over, and this is kind of that planning that we were talking about, right? FlyQuest are trying to make things happen, and that's really good considering how bad the morale has been on this team recently. It looks like Maniac, even though this game isn't going their way, has actually given them some much-needed fresh blood, as even though this play is ill-fated, I love the fact that they see what they think is a pick, and they go for it. That's not something that we were seeing from the fan previously.
And as we look at this replay, respect to Blaze, it was the tidal wave cleanse that saves Tomo's life. Like, it totally should have been it should have been a kill, but that's just how it is in League of Legends. It's close but no cigar. And also, you know, I kind of want to rewind with the play. It's, you know, attempted onto XU, but look at the inventory. That Force of Nature was completed before that fight.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of magic damage coming out from the FlyFam, and as they start to lose more of their control over the mid lane, it's going to be very difficult for them to get through this incredibly tanky front line. And hey, Alex, one of your favorite items has already been built up. David Chal Insanity on the Udyr. Got a Magus.
Oh, nice dodge by Tomo. Not mispositioning that time, forcing to use any summoners. But look at Insanity. He's a big boy. That Jack Show, he took no damage while getting Maniac so low in the middle of 3 people.
And he's preventing people from going down towards the bottom lane, trying to get a couple more minions to die to the turret while they're there. Dignitas now pressing the entire map at the same time. Mid lane's going to go down. The top lane is not long for this world, as Hoon will pick up 2 effective kills for themselves. This game, I mean, it looked really good for FlyFam at the beginning. I think we should not discredit that, but now we are just seeing Dignitas, the experience coming through. They are preventing FlyFam from doing anything on the map.
It's that experience, like you said, when it comes to lane phase, where you have the mechanics that you can rely on, you rest on the laurels, but then you have this team fight, the conviction of Dignitas Challengers, constantly seeing one member misstep and saying, hey, we can make this play, we can look for this dive. Lunacia, even if you've been dominating in the top lane, we are not that worried about you. We can dive wherever we want on the map, and you cannot stop us.
Yeah, now they're sticking around. Enough of them are saying, we're still strong. Let's pick up this inhibitor before we leave, and they are going to be rewarded for that. They can back out and pick up the dragon on their way as well. This game is looking so tough from this position as Hoon. I like the fact that he goes for the auto attack before the hook shot, but It's one of those things where all these cute little mechanics coming through, probably not going to change the outcome of the game anymore.
No, it was close for a while, and it was close until it wasn't, right?
Yeah.
It's how the game goes. And even though the game ain't over until it's over, it's looking pretty over. 3 dragons picked up by Dignitas Challengers, having themselves, what is that? 8,000 gold lead at the moment against FlyFam. 25 minutes in. Still Baron buff remaining, and when you look at where the gold is mostly allocated, they've got 10,000 gold on Hoon, Insanity, and Tomo.
Yeah. And almost there from XU as well, who continues to have a 100% kill participation in this game, so decisively looking for all of these ganks. But I'm a little bit surprised, right? One of the things that we are looking from FlyFam, wow, that's a lot of F sounds all in a row, is actually trying to make the plans. Hoon was not supposed to be able to pick up this inhibitor turret all on their own while all 5 members of the fam were still alive. I really want to see them continue to try and go for things, and I think it will probably have to come from Maniac, who's the one who comes in with a bit of a chip on their shoulder to try and make some of these plays happen.
And but Maniac's still very squishy. Just the Aegis to kind of provide a little bit of extra tankiness besides Demonic. You're not going to survive. Even if the arrow connects, they can't get towards Tomo. They had a beautiful arrow that landed, and what can they do? They have to watch as another inhibitor falls. Dignitas Challengers making this a clinic. They don't have to fight. They know that they are so powerful. There's nothing FlyFam can do.
There's a couple of small TP wards as they find Blaze.
Blaze, though, was able to shirk danger. Hoon on the other side, dodging away from a lot of skill shots, going golden as well. Here's the tidal wave getting a double knockup, as it's going to be Lunacia dying to the unstoppable Udyr. Oh, my dear, it's Udyr's game, and this is Dignitas Challengers to win.
Yeah, it's Udyr's world, and we're just living in it. David comes up big, XU comes up big. Now they're looking to pad the KDAs a little bit.
Just a little bit, make sure that it looks even nicer. As Tomo, though, gets close, but it doesn't matter. The turrets will fall all the same. The lane phase, be damned. It's all about the mid-game team fights, and you can see the power that Dignitas Challengers power over the competition.
There we go. They pick it up in a dominating fashion. We continue to see 100% kill participation from XU the entire game long, but it feels like the redemption coming out from Tomo at least has been coming through. But I'm glad we had an opportunity at least to talk about Lunacia, because even though they weren't able to win the game, finding 2 solo kills, or 1.5, let's say, is still a big shout out to this very rookie top lane.
He is definitely performing, and he's a player we got to continue to put our eyes on when looking at FlyFam. But you know what? For now, we are going to toss it to a break so we can get ready for our halftime show with Mizell. So make sure you stay tuned.